Hello, my friends, and welcome to PostScript. John Peterson from the Arlington Institute, and we're coming to you from sunny Berkeley Springs on a wonderful spring day. We're getting ready for our transition talks, one of our regular series of talks to look out into the future about what's coming downstream, and our guest today is Robert David Steele, my old friend from long ago. Hello, Robert, and welcome. Nice to have you with us.
John, I'm feeling very relaxed. It's been nice to come here.
Robert is a friend of almost 25 years or something like that. And we've seen each other through many different situations for a very long time. And so we're happy to have him here and happy to have a chance to chat with you a little bit about some of the things that you're not only doing but thinking about. And I wanted to start the conversation first of all, I suppose we should set this up and say for folks who don't know who you are is that you're a former Marine Corps officer, an infantry officer, and worked for the CIA, were a spy, the originator of the open source intelligence concept. That's where we met years ago when you were doing conferences in that area. Been nominated for the Nobel Prize and for Peace Prize and a variety of other kind of wonderful things. But you've always been on the front, on the leading edge of some very interesting things. We're going to talk about that later today when your presentation about an integrated picture about what a world is coming down. But as I've watched you over these years, I've watched a very interesting kind of change. And it seems to me that you are becoming more religious, spiritual. There's some kind of change that's happening. You're starting to see the world in a different way, and I'd be interested to know a little bit about what happened and what's going on there.
Well, I suppose I was raised as the son of an oil man, and then had a good education, Marine Corps, CIA, and then as a CEO of a for-profit company trying to teach open source intelligence. And I was very grounded in assuming that the earth was the earth and that there wasn't anything else.
Right.
And I was also assuming that most of what we were told was true. And it turns out that's not the case. So I started expanding, and of course, being the top reviewer for nonfiction with over 2,000 books across 98 categories, that really expanded my mind.
Yeah.
And I started reading in the both the spiritual, self-development, and extraterrestrial domains. And I ultimately became persuaded, on the one hand, that virtually everything we're being told today by our major institutions is a lie. The churches are lying to us, the universities are lying to us, the government is lying to us, medicine and science are lying to us. But I also started to attract spiritual people who basically came to me and not necessarily mentored me, but showed me that there were new ways of not only looking at the world, but that everything was much more positive than I was beginning to worry. Now, the cosmic or extraterrestrial dimension, that's mostly about energy and frequencies. There's a great book by Preston James called The Music of Time. And I've debriefed NASA retired PhDs who talk about frequencies and being able to throw a fork through a plate glass window with the K-band frequency. I haven't seen it done, but I believe that it's happening. And if you think about all of us as everything is energy, then the challenge becomes, do you want to be ugly, dirty energy, or do you want to be pure love, which is the top of the energy pyramid, if you will.
Right.
In my earlier years, I didn't really think about humanity as a spiritual force. Now I think about humanity as a unique aspect of the cosmic ecology, and intelligence, integrity, and imagination are what make us human. And it is our mission to ascend.
Yeah. Yeah, but your background is Catholic, I presume, or not?
I am a lapsed, abused Catholic Jesuit altar boy.
Right. But you can't come from that background or from the conservative Protestant background that I came from without having the latent or the residual kind of kind of effects there. And it seems
I have
it,
no problem telling the Pope to take a hike.
yeah, well, I understand, but the principles show up, and they show up in the way you talk about things these days. That is really quite different than what you've been in the
Well, I
past.
don't place much credence in religions per se. I think most religions are dogmatic. They're institutionalized theft. They're focused on building wealth for the institution, not actually doing charity. The best religions are those that teach best practices and charity at the local level. Any religion that siphons money to Rome is
Yeah,
corrupt.
right.
What I think I actually am is a conservative human in the sense of principles. And I'll talk later today about cultural Marxism. Cultural Marxism is a very real threat, and it seeks to basically turn people into chattel property. And it does that by removing all their values. What I find is that most religions, particularly the Catholic and Mormon religions, are child trafficking, and they're doing some great evil. So we need to cleanse that. There's no real separation. I haven't had a discussion about God with Juan O. Savin, that's not his real name, nor is the name that people think it is his real name. He's an undercover presidential level operative. I believe that the key core concept is that God created the cosmos. The cosmos is God manifest, and you can either be an evil particle or a good particle. And so for me, it's very simple. I think my job is to help humanity lift itself up with education, with intelligence, which means decision support, and with research, which means critical inquiry. And I see no conflict
Yeah.
in these two
Well,
approaches.
I would agree with you.
Basically, I think Buckminster Fuller said it best, and that's what I do. Buckminster Fuller, I don't think I'm a reincarnation of Buckminster Fuller, but I do think that I'm following in his footsteps. He said, our mission is to create a world that works for all,
Yeah.
a world of prosperity and peace that works for all. Well, that's why I was recommended for the Nobel Peace Prize. And by the way, the prize has been diminished, and Alfred Nobel's will has been totally violated. The Nobel Peace Prize is supposed to go to the individual who has done the most in the past year to demilitarize the world. Nothing else.
Wow.
So this chicken shit CIA girl from Pakistan, the acid girl, which was a complete fake, UNICEF, which traffics in children, all of these Nobel Peace Prizes are just absolute the devil's work.
Yeah.
Okay? But I have put together holistic analytics, true cost economics, and open source everything engineering.
Right.
And I stand on the shoulders of others, but I can replace every John Deere tractor in the world at 10% the cost of a John Deere tractor with no ransom software.
There you go.
Okay? And what that means is not that we're doing John Deere out of farming tractors in the US. It means that we can sell open source tractors all over the world where they are using children and beasts of burden to do the tractor's job.
And so it's very interesting as you move yourself into all of this change as the old system collapses and then erodes onto itself to provide the space for the emergence of a new world. How you kind of make sense out of what's for real and what isn't. I mean, how do you think about that?
John Caputo's written an excellent book, which I had cited in that lecture, called Truth, Philosophy in Transit. And the core point of his book is that the truth emerges in conversation among humans. Now, I'm personally waiting to when I can talk to my dog, because I think there's actually interspecies truth,
Right.
and there's this whole ecology. I mean, trees have networks of communication underground and so forth. I mean, there's really two aspects to my vision for this transition. The first, I'm very, very big on truth and reconciliation. There are tens of thousands of people that have done some terribly evil things to children, to women, to one another. And you have to triage between giving them a free pass and using them to take out the people who are really at the top of the pyramid of evil. So truth and reconciliation and providing an exit strategy and a recovery plan for all of these people is important. At the same time, I'm practical. If they don't take the offer, we kill them and we burn the body. But that's what incinerators are for. But at the other higher level, what this is all about is, I think we've been dumbed down over centuries. I think we used to be capable of telepathy. Okay, and I think we used to be able to have global communications without equipment.
Yeah, sure.
So what we're really doing right now is, I think we're emerging into a consciousness energy space. And this consciousness energy space is very, very firmly rooted in goodness.
Yeah. But it's almost like there's a war room somewhere. There's some
The
class.
supercomputer.
Well, yeah, that's a component of it. I mean, in my mind, there's a whole bunch of screens and people are looking at the world situation.
I'd put that at multiple levels. I have no direct knowledge, but I know people who know extraterrestrials. They prefer to be called stellar civilizations because they're not Earth-centric. And I've delved into this, and I'm quite certain that there are, and Carrie Cassidy's done a lot of good work in this area, although recently she's had some meltdowns. But I'm quite certain that there are thousands of stellar civilizations.
Right.
And I'm quite certain that some of them, like the reptilians, are still very, very evil. Now, I've been told that Earth, until recently, was like a gold mine in Colorado. It's basically a place where you go to farm humans. It's a place where you go to get whatever you want in the way of gold or rare minerals and things like that, which are not available in some places of the cosmos. But on balance, humanity passed a point in about 2012, which the Mayans and the Aztecs, I think, had predicted, and all of a sudden we triggered the positive civilizations coming to our aid. And I think that what we've been seeing since 2012, and Donald Trump is the culminating spiritual figure in all of this, what we've been seeing is a war in which positive civilizations, which would not enter unless they were invited, have come in and demolished the negative civilizations. And now we on Earth are dealing with our own satanic Luciferian cabal. And my understanding, aided in part by discussions with you and others, is that the Galactic Federation has said that we are now eligible to join the Galactic Federation and be stewards of the Earth, which means no more human trafficking off planet.
That's a good place to end for this segment. And we'll come back, and what we want to talk about in the next segment is a little bit about a big picture view of where this is all going and where it all could be. So thank you for being with us, and we hope you'll come back. You can find out more about this at what we do here at arlingtoninstitute.org and transitiontalks.org. And we have a whole series of interviews and different kind of insights and a podcast that you may find of interest. And so this is John Peterson, and thank you for being with us.